Gentlemen, we are in a very perilous time. Let's talk about this looming global anarchy. Attack on judiciary indicates the end of America, a scary world. Over the years, I have read the world histories and have researched on the causal elements of laws of republics, the de-democratization of nations, from Joseph Stalin to Attila the Hun, Julius Caeser of all Roman republics, Cypselus of Corinth, Mao Zedog of all China, Larcius Flavor, Vlad of Wallachia, Cleisthenes of Sicyon, Adolf Hitler, who institutionalized Nazi Germany, to Idi Amin of Uganda, and in recent times Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria, who led on the mantra of anti-corruption struggle to sack the chief judge of the country and decimate the country's judicial powers. I have found a common trait and a peculiar manners of charm among narcissistic dictators. What narcissistic dictators usually use to galvanize the minds of the gullible masses and gain their support towards the destruction of democracy and the rule of law, resulting in society's ruin, is the mantra of anti-corruption struggle. Dictators draw their strength on the knowledge that the gullible masses have to hear that they are fighting corruption. And when there are people who increase their approval rating, validate the dictator's boldness until the dictator will forget that he is believed that he has become a god. For dictators, it is usually from a mantra of anti-corruption struggle to attack on the rule of law and judges toward state destruction. History has bears witness. So, the actual actors in the process of the demise of democracy and the rule of law are never the dictators and authoritarians themselves, but rather the bandwagons of enablers, the masses and supporters who either out of sycophancy or gullible ignorance eulogize and encourage the dictator's actions or become afraid to speak up to the dictator. The dictator in most cases is usually an intellectual ignoramus with Dunning-Kruger effect. It is sad that the aura of the current president of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump, is progressively moving the United States to a third world society. Yesterday, of the statement I least expected to have ever heard or to have ever been made in the United States or in the history of the United States and on the US soil, a statement credited to two seeming morons of the century, folks who have no idea about how the United States system has worked and remain a global model and a positive world influencer for over a century. Jerry Vance and Elon Musk. Vance, who is a President Trump apologies and Vice President, question court orders and ask why judges should have power to scrutinize actions of a general who is leading a military operation. He raises the questions of the legality of judges' duty. In the US, I ask, is the United States at war with itself? Is Vance now a superior judicial authority? The question judges' reasoning and decisions. The second is Elon Musk's statement calling judicial officers corrupt judges that need to be impeached for altering the actions of his late non-statutory departments of the executive arm of government created by Mr. Donald Trump called DOCE. What is more, the president in his ignorance said judges shouldn't be detecting what you are doing. According to Mr. Trump, judges are to rule, not to detect. May I ask, what is the difference between a ruling and a decision? What's the difference? That the president does not know that ruling is synonymous with decision is embarrassing for America. Trump should be educated that the president has no power to choose what court order he should obey and the one he should not. Doing so is an assault on the Constitution and the rule of law, and it never ever ends well for any society. The duty of courts is to regulate the overreach of other branches of government and individuals, and to settle disputes and grievances by responding to questions of law through brought before them. Mr. Trump has suddenly forgotten that it was the judiciary that he used in delaying his criminal trials, convictions and sentences, which delays of proceedings through court decisions enable him to qualify to contest the election and end up in the Oval Office, and that in the future he will certainly need the judiciary again for the protection, for his protection, unless he is nothing a plan to make himself a life president of the United States. Folks who scorn the law do always forget that they won't have opportunity forever, and it might turn against them in the future. After his presidency, when Mr. Trump then says judges should make decisions or should not make decisions to question the executive arm of government, certainly no. For now, more than a century, the United States has been a model of world democracies and the rule of law, and the global protector of the people against dictatorship, oppressions and human rights abuses. What is going on today is the least expected of the United States. I am practically shocked. It indicates that the world will soon be flooded with a plethora of dictators and oppressors springing out, especially in Africa. Dictators and oppressors that always fear the United States. But today the United States herself is gradually losing a moral rectitude of all forms of corruption. Listen, of all forms of corruption, the worst form of corruption is to treat court orders and judicial decisions highly disparagingly. Of all forms of corruption, the worst form of corruption is to treat court orders and judicial decisions highly disparagingly. The judicial's role is to guide the executive, the legislature, and the individuals to follow the law, stricto sensu. When one contemptuously assaults the judiciary, it creates a general loss of hope in the use of law and courts for the settlement of grievances and disputes, and will eventually lead to anarchy that even the dictator will someday be consumed. Let me speak to the conscience of all Americans. Go to history and you will find out how Nazi Germany evolved and destroyed ancient democratic Germany system, and how countries like Syria, Sudan, Yemen, and former Yugoslavia evolved to collapse states. I think it is time folks begin to pray Pray for forgiveness of the sins you have committed against humanity. Because I am afraid the way it's going, the United States might not soon collapse. Will it be a coming reaction? A question to ponder. Pray for forgiveness of your misjudgment and poor choices that usher in the contemporary chaos. Pray that God gives you sense as I have. Otherwise, why should we see folks in the media space defending Trump's administration assault on the Constitution and the rule of law without knowing it signifies the destruction that awaits America and the global world? This shouldn't happen in the United States. Before this hadn't happened in the United States before. Over 200 years of well-structured democracy. Pray for America. Pray for humanity. With all my heart, love. God bless you. I am Cypselus, Edward-Ekpo.